What's up, guys? How we doing? I was just going to talk about a newsletter I wrote this morning. It was about a thing that Warren Buffett does. It's called the two-list rule, and it originated from him talking to one of his pilots, asking his pilots what their career ambitions were, and he said, write down 25 things. The pilot did that, wrote them all down, put them on a list, and then Warren said, take that list and circle 5 of the most important things. So the pilot did that. Then they separated that list into the 5 things and then the 20 things. And he said, when are you going to do those 20 things? And he said, well, whenever I have time to do those. And Warren said, you should not focus on those at all, because those 20 things are all distractions. And they are dangerous because they seem important enough or urgent enough to hold weight in your head, but they inevitably will be the things that cause you to not do the 5 things that are super important for you. And I think this is just a great example of so many other parts of life. Like whether it becomes morning routines, which I'm kind of fixated on. It's like, do we have to do 20 things in the morning or 5 things in the morning? What's the one thing that's actually going to move the needle? And you can't do that 3rd thing or 4th thing or 5th thing before you do the 1st thing. Right? So you kind of have to look at your day and say, okay, what are my actual priorities? And you can stem this out to my life or my year. What are my actual priorities? And you focus on the ones that are actually the real priorities. There's a weird fallacy about the word priority, because if you have a priority and you make a list, now you have a list of priorities, but that defeats the purpose of priority, right? Priority means the one thing that you're actually focused on. And the whole newsletter pretty much talks about some science behind multitasking. And the common thought is that we can become really good at multitasking. But the reality is we can't be good at multitasking, because we can only focus on one task at a time. We like to think that we can do multiple things simultaneously, but in reality, if you really think about it, you can't. You're just switching between things. You know, you're cooking and you're cleaning. You can't cook and clean at the same time, because you can really only do one task at the same time. Now, that's not to say that you can't like boil water and then go do your laundry while you're doing that, but you're boiling your water, you're turning on the water or turning on the heat to boil your water, and then you're going and doing the laundry, and you're coming back to cleaning. So you can't focus on multiple things at once. And there's an insane amount of mental bandwidth that gets accumulated and exhausted as a result of switching from one thing to another. So back to what Warren was saying, he said, you probably won't get those 5 things that you want actually done if you aren't solely focused on those 5 things. And I think, you know, it was an analogy. It's kind of a fable, kind of a parable. But you have to take that 5 things that you want to do, and you have to actually cut that down to 1. And then you need to prioritize, you know, all those different things that you're like, okay, I can do 5 things, but I'm going to prioritize just one of those things. I'm going to get that thing done, and then I have the opportunity to shift to a different thing once that thing is complete. And I think that's where we all get lost in the mix on things. Because I, for one, have always been a list person. You know, whenever I get stressed out, I make a giant list of all the things that I have to do or all the things that I want to do. But at the end of all of that, I sit there and I just have this giant list. And then it's like, I don't even have a priority on these things. And oftentimes, even if we were to prioritize things, we end up doing the easy things first. So then it makes you feel like you're doing so many things because you crossed off 10 things off your list, but those 10 things were all distractions. They didn't move the needle on the one thing that you actually needed to do. That was the most impactful thing that you could possibly do for that day or that season of your life. So that's just a little bit of a message of prioritization, using Warren Buffett's 2-list rule and applying that to your life. And you can apply it for New Year's resolutions, or how you're going to line up your morning or your day, or even work. It's a really good way to prioritize work, because it's looking at the things of, if I got these 3 things done, would it be a really good day? Absolutely. So why you focus on all the other things? Those things can be secondary. Those things don't need to demand your attention. Those things can wait until the important things are completed. But I wrote about that in a newsletter this morning. I have a newsletter called The First Thing. It's designed to be the first thing to wake up to lead an extraordinary morning, and thus create an extraordinary day, which will lead into having an extraordinary life. So if you want to subscribe to that, it comes out every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock in the morning. There's a link down below, and I would love to have you on the inside of that. But let me know if you guys have heard the Warren Buffett two-list rule, and for something that resonated with you, or for something that you've thought about in your life, or maybe this instigated some internal thought about how to reprioritize things in your life. But either way, we'll see you on the next one. I hope you guys have a great day. Peace.